Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Matthew Shriner podcast. And this episode is a continuation of episode number 50 from the Matthew Shriner podcast, from this show, which was about the importance of art, a look back at Pope John Paul II's letter to artists. And I talked about the importance of art, and so I want to talk about some important forms of Catholic art. And so the first form is actually right here. This is a perfect example. Let's open this up in a new tab. This was a recent
Hello,
project
this is Father
that
Robert
has been
Mielhardt from.
started in by the Pontifical Institute of Music. And so music is very important for the church because of the liturgy. The liturgy is a very important part of music. First, all know about liturgical music, I'm sure. All the different music we have. One of my favorite Catholic liturgical companies is C.C. Waterstead. I've got their sets of missals, the Sophia Institute missals, all three of them back there. I should have brought one of them to show you. But music is something very important, and when we talk about music, especially, we talk about chant. Chant is one of the earliest forms of Christian music. In fact, it was one of the first. It's the first sort of image of modern musical notation that we have, and so this is a project that has been started by the Pontifical Institute of Music to show how to chant and join along with these chants of the Holy Father. Let's sing with the Pope. And so these are some of especially this chant is one of a very old chant we have, and it's a very important chant, and it's also a very traditional chant. And so the other thing I want to talk about is, of course, we know sung music and organ music, and I love the organ myself. I'm an organist myself. I've got a couple of videos on here playing the organ. And so the organ and chant, those are very important forms of music as well. But the other form of music that is also very common towards the church is organ music. And so right here, I should have skipped the ad before this, but anyways, this is these are bells. Let's see, will this play without any ads? Of course it's not going to. That's just my luck, isn't it? But anyways, this is another form, although the places that he plays actually plays at colleges. The University of Denver is this one is at, and this one right here is at the University of Chicago. But these are big bells, and bells are played especially at churches. You probably heard bells played at your church, and there's different kinds of bell towers, like the bell tower here. I've seen bell towers, especially at Orthodox churches, although I have seen some Catholic churches where there are these large metal structures with bells on the outside. But besides keeping time, they also play a lot of music. So I wanted to show this, or you can probably find it too, which is they're called carillon bells, and they are bells played in a musical form to present songs. And so that's another thing that a lot of churches have. I know our church has this bell system. It's electronic, so it's not physically played like this. Although the way they play is really, really cool. But it's a beautiful sounding instrument, and I love the sound of bells, especially these bells that are played, and especially I like the sound at our church, even though they're electronic bells. The next thing I wanted to talk about when it comes to liturgy, so besides liturgical music like this, besides music of the bells, and a lot of times, like our church plays songs on the bells. So besides the Westminster chime that often gets played, they might play songs. Our bells do, although a lot of bells simply toll, which is just ringing before mass and before services. So. Besides that, with the liturgy, we also get to vestments, and so these are two examples I really like. These are very ornate vestments. I'm assuming they're hand designed. They might not be, but I think it's a safe assumption to make. On the left here is the image of the agony in the garden. We see very hand designed, very ornate design, and this is one of the beautiful things about it, because I talked in the last video about the Sistine Chapel, hand designed, handmade art, hand painted art from Michelangelo, and so art is very important in the design of our churches and the in and out, but also the design of what we wear, what the clergy wear. Oftentimes you can see, there's lace and all that too, but these are the chasubles and copes that are often worn, and they often, besides being simple lines, they can be very ornate, such as this example here. These were the two best examples I found and really liked. I couldn't find any other examples, so these are just two. So this is a cope with the scene of the agony in the garden, the angels, the sleeping apostles, and Christ himself. And then on the right here is the pelican. This has often been considered a symbol of Christ because when a mother pelican cannot feed her children, she will stab herself in the side and feed them with her blood. And I think you can understand the symbolism to Christ there. So these are two very ornate designs. I'm assuming this is on the back of a fiddleback chasuble, and this, of course, is the back of a cope. So, and then oftentimes on the front, there are beautiful designs of angels on there too. You can look at just eBay and you can find a whole lot of examples of very ornate copes too. And then finally, the last thing, when we're talking about music, also besides liturgical music, I wanted to give a quick shout out to this. This is a album that from Harry Connick Jr. He is a Catholic, and so he released back during COVID a album about faith, and I really enjoy this album, and they have really good songs in there. So this was just a quick look at Catholic art, both liturgical and not. Of course, this is the one thing I wanted to talk about: music for the glory of God. Besides just the liturgy, we know what we can see outside of the liturgy, and of course what we see in the liturgy and what we see in our churches. So that's just a quick review of liturgical Catholic art. Music is and these are two very important things: music and art for both in and out of the liturgy, especially for the glory of God. The music to give glory to the liturgy, to God ultimately, and then the music outside of the liturgy. And so that's what I wanted to give a quick shout out to, and I thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.